this is Boundless then. This is a game that
Yeah,
looks incredible, and I know zero about it, honestly. I know nothing about it,
it's
other than
okay.
it
That's why
looks
we're here.
beautiful.
All right. I mean, I'm here to teach you. I'm here to
Perfect.
talk about it. Let's talk about pre-game setup. You would put your main deck in the main deck zone. You would put your spirit deck in the spirit deck zone, and you would put your savior bound side up in the savior zone.
Okay.
This starts off every game. These are your command zones. The drop zone is where everything goes after it's been used, exhausted, killed, what have you. Um, and the void is where your spirits go. That is your damage threshold.
Okay.
This is where you would find out who wins or loses. Players would roll a die to see who goes first. We would both draw 5 from our deck. After that, we have a mulligan option. You can choose to put back as many as you'd like and draw the same amount after you shuffle. And then after we've determined who goes first, I would start. We do draw on our first turn, so I would draw a card,
Okay.
and then I would draw a card from my spirit deck. So this is called the invoke step.
Okay.
You would go draw step, invoke step.
Okay.
And then after that is your act step 1, where you play your forms, where you sacrifice forms, where you play your commands, where you go boundless. There are act step stipulations behind when you can go boundless. There are some cards that go boundless in act step 2, but
Okay.
most go boundless in act step 1. Or say like I played this form from my hand,
Right.
and this is what I decided to do for my turn. Then I would go to my combat step. All players have to choose to go to the next step. So if I were to go say I want to go to my combat step, you would have to agree, and any other players we have would agree as well.
So I would
Because
say
some
that's
people
okay.
might have to
Okay.
right. If you have like an effect that activates in the Act Step 1, and someone's just like rushing through their steps, you're like, well, crap, that sucks.
Right.
So everyone has to agree before we move forward. So the way damage works in this game, you would have our saviors are equal power,
Okay.
right? You've got 5,000, I've got 5,000.
Okay.
If I were to choose to attack you with my savior, I would just kind of do that. There's no tapping. It would favor the attacker
Okay.
each time. So if I had something here, say I had a form out that had 5,000 power with no spirit, no damage modification or anything like that, no power modification, and your savior attacked it, it would die. It would get damaged and get sent to the drop zone.
Okay.
If I had my little guy out here, my little Ignis Dag, there's no summoning sickness. They come in, and once they're in, they can do whatever they can do. If I chose to swing him into a form you control, I would swing it into this, right? But since your power on this card is 3,000 and mine is 2,000, mine would get damaged and sent to the drop zone. If yours was bigger or smaller than mine, yours would get damaged and sent to the drop zone.
Go to my drop zone. Okay.
In order for a form to activate its effects or attack a savior, it would need to be spiritualized. So spiritualizing a card is if I were to have this spirit in my hand, spiritualizing it is to put it underneath the form or savior.
Okay.
They've got this nice little text box down here that you can put the card over it and still be able to read, in paper. In here, it's a lot easier.
Can your savior attack without being spiritualized or no?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would not need to spiritualize the savior in order for it to attack. So spirits do not actually give the benefits of their effects to saviors. And after damage is Act Step 2, where you could do the same things you do in Act Step 1. And then after Act Step 2 is your End Step. Some active abilities activate in End Step, so that's why it's there. And then it would just pass turn to the next player. I'll start showing you cards just to say what they are and how to go about looking at them. So first I'll start with the spirit cards. These are spirit cards. That was a cool little flip. So this is a spirit. Spirits are like the lifeblood of Boundless TCG. They grant special abilities to forms, which are the ones that go on these circles. There's 5 different types of spirits. There's the rescue spirits, there's the aggress spirits, there's protect spirits, boost, and then perfect. With each of these having their own ability, perfect spirits encompass all of them in one.
Okay.
We'll talk about saviors a bit. So saviors is the one that goes on this diamond in the center. And this is an ever-present threat that your opponent has to consider, opponent or opponents have to consider while they're playing the game. So they have abilities, which if you look deeper into the card, you can see. Next to their named ability there, where it says Holy Breaker on this one.
Yep.
That's called their savior ability, and it's noted by that little golden orb.
Okay.
Savior abilities Um, depending on the ETI, which is the little section next to it, ETI stands for Effect Timing Indicator. They can be present all the time, or they can be activated on somebody's turn. This one in particular, this Sacred Jago Spectrum, has two that are constantly present. So an auto ability is always active, and a continuous ability is also always active. Auto happens when a specific trigger is met, and continuous is just a blanket all the time. And the bottom of the text here, you can see during your act step 1, yada yada, they're boundless conditions. So in order for a savior to go boundless, they need to have a certain amount of spirits underneath them and meet a certain game condition. So in this case, I would need to have 3 spirits, including at least 1 protect spirit, and I would draw a card when I do so. In which case I would go boundless, which is flipping it over. And when you flip it over, it has brand new abilities, more power, which is the indicator at the bottom, which comes up in combat. And yeah, it has different abilities that could really take an impact on the game. Forms are the ones with the red borders. So forms have levels, and this one particularly is a level 0. The levels would be at the bottom of the frame. See next to the power indicator where there's like nothing kind of there?
Yep.
That would be where its level would sit, and it would be indicated by an amount of orbs that are sitting there. So I'll grab a level 1 from my deck just to show you. So this is a level 1. See how that little red orb is there?
Oh, there on that side. Okay. I was
Yes,
looking at the
yeah.
wrong side. Yeah, okay, on the left there.
In order to play a form, you'd have to have an open form zone, which if you look at the nameplate up at the top of the card, it'll show you the little diamonds next to the side.
Yep.
Those diamonds are indicated on the zone that they belong in. So you can see them in the
follow.
center there. Yeah. So you could take this and you could put it on your form zone as long as you have an open one, and it would count as you playing that form.
Okay.
Level 0 forms can be played in an infinite amount of times in the turn, so long as you have open form zones and you have the forms in your hand to play it. In order to play 1, 2, or 3 forms, you would have to sacrifice something. So in this case, I would sacrifice my level 0 to play my level 1.
Okay.
And you can only do that once each turn. Each player can only do that once. But you can't go back down. So if I were to sacrifice this level 1 for, say, a level 2, I'll just rip that out of my deck real quick. If I were to sacrifice this for a level 2, right, I'd put it in the drop zone. I cannot then take this level 1, say I had another one in my hand. I can't go back down. I can't sacrifice this for that. Commands are helpful cards that will further your strategy. Commands would go in these command zones down here, which are the triangles. Okay. And they have that blue triangle or blue diamond just to, keep that nice and uniform. Once commands are done, depending on the command, it would go to the drop zone just like everything else.